Now remains the same.
Hello, it's Mr. Toops, and today we're going to combine like terms, and you are in the office of Mr. Toops. I hope you enjoy this lesson. Okay, let me start the screen sharing. Okay, we're going to talk about combining like terms, so you can see that now on here, and we're just going to go through and fill this in. In order for terms to be like terms, they must both have the same base or variable and the same exponent or power. Remember to keep the sign with the number. For instance, 3x and 5x are like terms. 5x and 7y are not like terms. To combine terms, they have to have the same variable and exponent. So 3 examples of like terms are 7x squared, 4x squared, and negative 2x squared. Notice they all have x and they all have the same exponent of 2. 3 examples of unlike terms are 5x cubed, 3x, let me do this over. 5x cubed, 3x squared, and negative 4x. Notice none of these are like terms. They all have the variable x, but the exponent is different. So you could not combine any of those terms. Now then, in order to put the terms in order, you go from the largest exponent down to the constant, and we'll talk about that soon. Okay, so your constant is just a number like 5, negative 3. Those are constants, that's just integers, and you can combine those. So let's go to question number 1. This is the way I would like to do it. You want to get all the letters grouped together and then your constants. So the only letter we have is 5x, single underline it. Then you're going to go through and double underline your integers or your constants. Now then, I could group my x's together and I could group my constants together. Since the only variable I have is 5x, that drops. And then I'm going to combine the 5 and the negative 5. And 5 minus 5 is 0, so I would have 5x plus 0 or just 5x. So you're just grouping the like terms up together. It really helps if you single underline, double underline, and then triple underline. Let's go to question number 2. Okay, what's the only variable in this expression? It's y. So we're going to single underline the y. Then we're going to go back and double underline our constants. This is 6th grade integer work, so make sure you're doing the work here. Something else that helps is do the work. You're going to get sign, number, and letter over and over and over. That's how you want to write down your answers, and we'll go through this in a minute. Okay, so the only letter I have is y, so it drops. Now then, look at the numbers you have. You have a negative 3 and a negative 5, right? Do you have more 3s or more 5s? You have more 5s, don't you? The sign in front of this 5 will drop. So I'm getting the sign. Now I'm going to figure out if I'm going to add or subtract. The 3 and the 5 are all negative, so you have negative 3 and negative 5 would be 8 negatives or minus 8. So this right here would be my answer after I grouped them. Question 3. Single underline the variables. So I'm going to single underline the 6 and the 4, and I'm going to double underline the constant or the integer of 2. Now then on this one, I'm going to group together the 6t and the 4t. Do I have more 6s or more 4s? I have more 6s, so my sign would be positive. The 6 is positive, the 4 is negative. I won't add 4 away from 6 is 2, and my letter is t. Notice I just wrote down sign, number, letter. You don't need the plus to start off with though, do you? And then lastly, the plus 2 is just going to drop. So the answer to this would be 2t plus 2. Okay, so all you're doing is doing 6th grade integer work, and you're adding and subtracting either the coefficient or bases and the integers or constants. Okay, let's go to question 4. Single underline the variables x's And notice the other variable y, put them in alphabetical order. So you want your letters to be in alphabetical order. I cannot combine a y to an x. So I'm going to group my x's together and then group the y's together. So the first step is to group the x's together. Do you have more 10s or more 5s? Get the sign first. You have more 10s, the sign will be positive. Would you add or subtract the 10 and 5? I'm going to group them up and I'm going to add them because they're both positive. 10 plus 5 is 15 and my letter is x. Sign, number, letter. You're going to do that over and over. Now then lastly, the 6y, there's nothing to combine the y's to, so it just drops. So 15x minus 6y would be the simplified algebraic expression. Isn't this fun? Yeah! Now then later on, why do we use x's and y's? The x will turn into the x-axis, the y will turn into the y-axis. You're going to have to combine these so we can graph functions. So that's why you're learning to do this. Let's go to question 5. Remember, the largest exponent goes first. So we have 2d squares, then we have a d, and then we have two constant terms, 2 and 1. So those will get triple underline. So notice on this problem, I have a single underline, a double underline, and a triple underline. So I won't have 2 terms in my answer, I'll have 3. This has more power. Now then, let's go through and do the arithmetic. All we're going to do is add and subtract the integers. So on this one right here, we're going to combine 12 and 8. There's more 12s in there. So I'm going to drop the plus, and then I got to figure out if I'm going to add or subtract the 12 and 8. You are not doing this left to right. You're going through and grouping your like terms. The 12 and 8 have different signs, so I'm going to take 8 away from 12 and get 4. My letter is D and my exponent's 2. When you add and subtract, the letters and exponents do not change. So, and also notice I don't need the plus to start off with. But what did I just write down? Sign, number, letter, exponent. Sign, number, letter, exponent. You're doing that over and over. Now then, look at your double underlines. The only double underline is the minus 17D. Notice we put sign, number, letter. So you always want to get the sign and then the number, the sign and then the number. Now then, look at your triple underlines. We're going to group the triple underlines together. Do you have more 2s or do you have more 1s? You have more 2s, don't you? And the 2 is what sign? It's negative. That negative is going to drop. Now then, would you add or subtract the 2 and 1? They should have taught you how to do this like this in 6th grade. You won't add the 2 and 1 because the signs are different. So we're going to take 1 away from 2 and get 1. This right here would be my answer. And then, lastly, question 6. What a blast! This is so much fun. Remember, we're going to go through and get the largest exponents first. So the k-squares are our largest exponents. Then we have 2 k's, double underline those, and we only have 1 constant or integer, don't we? So we're going to have triple underline. We could have 3 things in our answer. Now then, let's go through and get the answers. You're going to group the single underlines first. There's no number in front of that k, so technically it's a 1. Now then, do you have more 16s or do you have more 1s? You have more 16s. Write down the sign first. Would you add or subtract 16 and 1? Since the signs are different, that's right. 1 away from 16 is 15. My letter is K and my exponent's 2. What did we just write down? Sign, number, letter, exponent. And let's go to the double underlines. The double underlines have 10 and 18. Notice we are not doing this left to right. You're grouping your like terms. 8, you have more 18s than you do 10s, so the sign of plus will drop. Now then, will you add or subtract the 18 and 10? Since the signs are the same, you're going to add them up, aren't you? 18 plus 10 is 28, and my letter is K. What did we just write down? Sign, number, letter. Sign, number, letter. Sign, number. You're doing that over and over. And lastly, the negative 8 is going to drop. Notice you write down the sign first and then the number. This would be my simplified answer. fun stuff. So remember, all you're doing on this paper is you're just single underline, double underline, triple underline. Then you're adding and subtracting just like you did in 6th grade. The integers, the letters, and exponents will not change. And remember, always believe and you are awesome.